Hey, howdy, friends, and welcome to our podcast with the Nick and James podcast, I guess is what we're calling it now for the moment, right? We do have a new name. We have a new look to our podcast. You can see our new background. We're very proud of that. We moved studios from over there to
over here.
Now we're here.
Yeah.
But all part of the big changes that we have coming. We, on the other hand, are very happy to be here with you guys. I'm Nick. This is Justice James, Ginger
Howdy.
James, who's here despite my wishes.
He still tries to get me kicked off the podcast. It's not going to work,
Nick.
Nick.
Off the podcast. You're going to be
not gonna
canceled. I'm going to cancel you soon. It's going to happen.
Well,
Cancel culture comes for us all.
I don't have a Facebook, so good luck finding my old posts.
You have a social media presence now.
Oh crap! Well,
This is the internet, man. The internet's for life.
I'm in the grid.
We're here. We are here to talk about Texas, friends. We're here to talk about Texas topics, national topics from a Texas perspective. We're here to see what the Lone Star State has, or I guess we're here to demonstrate what the Lone Star State has for the rest of the world, and it is quite a bit, friends. The Lone Star State is the best state in the entire world.
Best country.
And with that comes kind of a new vibe, new structure. We talked about that last week, but we did come up with a new name. James, you want to tell them what the new name is?
No.
No, you don't?
No.
Great. Well, you, the people, voted. We ignored you, and then we came up with a different name. We are now the Big and Bright Podcast.
Woo!
This is
Big and bright.
got kind of a Texas theme to it. I really like it. I like the fact that kind of Texas is the light in the dark days that are ahead of the United States, right? The big and bright.
Whoa, Nick, calm down. Quit making it sound so nice.
Hey man, the night is dark, but the stars at night
Are
big
and bright.
That's right. I'm not doing that stupid. You did that with gun sounds in the last episode, and I'm still triggered by that. So.
Oh, good.
That being said, that is going to be the name of this podcast moving forward. We're going to have start working on a new look moving forward. So we're going to see, again, you're going to see some changes as we go throughout some of these topics. But one thing, things that won't change, we're always going to be talking about Texas, and we're always going to be here with me. And James, he's going to be here too, and we're going to be walking.
Fight
through
it
this,
all you want,
we're walking
Nick.
through this journey with you.
It's gonna keep happening.
People want the ginger. I know.
That's right, they do.
Want the ginger.
I mean, there was a
right?
comment on our last video from a very non-biased person that said that people want the gingers. So,
Okay, let's stop talking about this. Big topic today, friends. What do we think? What is the Texas perspective on government gridlock? We hear all the time about especially politicians, right? And I think we mentioned this last week. I like to get things. I'm a politician. I'm a man that can get things done.
I want to get things done. It's like, I don't want that guy.
I want to get things done. Well, I don't want you to get things done, right? But that works. That sells, right? So it seems like a government that can get things done is perceived as an effective government. It's perceived as something that is desirable, right? We have a fluid government that can quickly make moves.
Well, some people like that.
You know,
some
it doesn't
people
get caught up in gridlock. Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. What do Texans think about this?
Well, I, in my focus group of one, have definitely talked about this subject and extensively.
Vociferously?
And in my focus group of one, we all agreed that gridlock is awesome.
Gridlock is awesome. Okay.
I love gridlock.
Well, the people of the Texas Congress tend to disagree with you, it appears.
Oh yeah.
The people in the Texas, in your state
a bunch
Congress,
of numbskulls
are not in agreement with that. They have changed a couple of things up to try and help streamline the legislative process in a state, mind you.
Just a flippin' euphemism that means nothing.
In a state, mind you, that purposely only convenes their Congress once every 2 years because they don't want things being rammed through, and they don't want knee-jerk reactions, as it's called, right? They're now trying to streamline the process of getting legislation.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Like I say one thing, I practice another way.
Okay, so James, you got the notes in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Which means you know what you're talking about, right? So what is going on in the Texas Congress? What's happening?
We discussed this last episode, Nick. Currently, for the Texas Senate, they have changed the rules again to have to only require 16 votes for the state senators in order for a bill to come to the floor for debate.
Okay.
And that's stupid. That's plain and simple.
Well, it's just to get the bill to the floor. It's not to vote. It's not to vote a bill into law.
No, but the thing was, it was 19 votes. Okay.
I thought it was 20. No, it was 21.
Originally, it was 21.
It was 21. Yeah.
And then it went to 19. Mm-hmm. And they voted the 16 vote rule in with 18 senators. They literally couldn't even get 19 people to undo the 19 person rule.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm confused then. How did that work then? How did that happen?
Wow.
Only had 18 votes.
Yeah.
Did they just say nana nana boo boo?
They have a majority.
They did it by simple.
They got a majority.
Okay, but how did it get to the floor? If you need 19 to even get that proposal to the floor,
because that's actually a procedural move. It's not actually a bill move.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our sneaky way around it.
Yeah, it's part of the Senate procedure.
For those who don't know, Texas has 31 state senators in total. Mm-hmm. All right, and you mentioned the 21 rule. Okay, let me just give a little background here. In 2015. At that moment, there was a 68-year rule precedent that 21 senators were required in order to bring it to the floor. And in 2015, guess what? It went down to 20 Republican senators, and they changed the rule again to 19. And then we get to 2021. Guess what happens, Nick? They lost another 2 senators.
And so they changed the rules again.
Locked it down again to 16. God.
What happens when they lose the majority?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
That's the point.
What happens when they lose the majority?
We're screwed.
This is the issue. Okay, so everybody tends to think, and we talk about, we're taking things from a Texas perspective, and they go, these Texas, they just mean Republican perspective because Texas is a red state. First of all, not true. We discussed that last week. Texas is actually very diverse when it comes to, it's a very, very diverse state when it comes to the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't care what party you're in. The Republicans are being dumb right now, right? The Republicans are being absolutely stupid because it's advantageous in the short term, but they're not playing the long game. The long game is hard. The long game involves winning freaking elections. If you want to have the ability to bring these bills to the floor, then win elections.
If you keep losing, maybe change strategies. Something's not working.
Well, I think the thing is that's the thing. We go back to that sort of catchphrase of "I get things done." Well, you can't say that you get things done. Well, you didn't even get anything to the floor. So what do you have? How did you get anything done? The issue with government gridlock is basically that senators like to use their record in order to kind of beef up their ethos for when they go on the stump again.
I mean, that's what U.S. congressmen and women do all the time. Yeah. They'll try to add some pork in a bill, or they'll write this bill that's never going to pass, very in favor of their district. Say like, well, I tried, the people just don't want it. I'm going to keep fighting for you. And it's like, you knew that wasn't going to pass.
Yeah, I got this.
Come on, you wasted mine and your time.
I got this done for you.
You had some intern write a bill, and you said you sponsored it. That's about it.
They're trying to put that out there, and they can't do that if they're not getting anything done. Yeah. If you're not even getting it to the floor. Right, if you can't even get the bill to the floor, then you can't even make that second claim that you mentioned, which is I tried.
Right.
Well, no, you didn't try. You didn't even get it to the floor. So, what's happening here is people are having to make good on these campaign promises of I'm going to get things done. You got to stop doing that. You have to stop doing that. You need to start saying, hey, listen, I'm going to do what I can, but government gridlock is a good thing.
We still have to work with the other side. You can't just stuff down whatever you want just because, well, I have an R next to my name. Well, I have a D next to my name. So the frick what?
And by the way, if nothing gets done, that's also fine. That's
no new laws.
Also okay.
I'm happy with no new laws.
There are fights that need to be had on a cultural level for sure. There are fights that need to be had in the long haul in Congress, right? In government. Right? If you need to say, hey, I'm going to try and move things in a specific direction, that's all I need from you. I don't need you to get a specific piece of legislation on the floor or passed for me right now.
Do you know where this latest thing about the simple majority actually originated, Nick?
Where's that?
Back in 2007, all the swirls of this kind of conversation really started to take hold. Okay. Thanks to current Lieutenant Governor, then Senator Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick.
Back in 2007, he actually proposed a rule for a simple majority for a vote. You know how that went? He lost. 30-1. Mind you, I said there's 31
There
senators.
are 31 senators. So,
Guess which one was standing alone?
So he sat there with his hand up and everybody looked at him funny.
No one else? Just me?
That's how it should be, man.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you need to make sure that you've got things set. And this is another proposal that I'm going to pitch to you, and I'm going to have your legal counsel on this, Justice James.
Don't.
Actually, this has nothing to do with law. Well, it has to do with law, but it doesn't have to do with judiciary stuff.
I'm not offering advice.
Here's my thing. How unreasonable would it be to make congressional procedure a matter of legislation? How unreasonable would that be?
Well, what do you mean? That's pretty vague.
What I mean is, if you want the Senate to operate in this way, pass a law. The law is the senators must operate in this way, and then you have to go through legislative means in order to overturn that.
Well, I mean, that's they did right here. I mean, they went with a vote. I mean, I don't see the difference here. They still went with a vote, and we can both agree that 18 votes to go to 16 when the original rule was 19, it's kind of crappy.
Here's the thing, though. That goes back to the fact that they passed it with 18.
Correct.
The reason they were able to pass it with 18 is because this is not a piece of legislation that they had to bring to the floor.
Correct.
If it was a piece of legislation that they had to bring to the floor, they would have needed 19 votes to do it. And they didn't have to have those 19 votes because this isn't technically law.
I think that a lot of that's it's settled with the Senate rules. Like if you put it all up to an entire vote, I mean, there's a reason why we're Republic to Texas, not the Democratic of Texas, because if you put every single thing up to a vote, you're never going to get an actual majority.
You
everything.
you might have certain things that are required for a majority. You might have certain things that are required for 2/3 or something like that. I mean,
Texas did put it on to a vote for us a few years back, where we had to make an amendment, we had to make an amendment change if we were going to meet more than every 2 years, and they solidified that because the people said, yeah, you're going to have to actually make an amendment. We're not going to let you just change it by procedure, and so you have to go through the whole big rigmarole to actually do it. Thus making it not really favorable to do it because no one's going to agree to that.
That's what I'm saying. Is that why are these Senate procedural things right? If you have something,
because no one's looking at it, Nick. That's why we're here.
You should, but that's the thing is you should, and if you make it a matter of law, I think people will. I think people will discuss this, and they'll take it more in depth if it's actually a matter of law and it's something that's put to a vote and it's something that you can campaign on, it's something you can petition on.
Maybe
people pay more attention if you do that.
I think if you just shine a bright light like we're doing right now, it kind of gets people to notice.
Would it be a big and bright light?
I think so.
Yeah,
I see what you did there. Yeah, good job, Nick.
But the fact here is that we got to get over this idea that government is there to do stuff for us. And I mean, that's really because we talk about the Texan attitude, the Texan perspective of everything, which is not always a Republican, it's not always a Republican perspective, but a Texan perspective. The Texan spirit is leave me alone.
Yeah.
Right. The Texan spirit is I can do this for myself. I don't need the government to help me out. I don't need the government to necessarily do stuff for me. The government is there to protect my ability to fend for myself. Right. And a government that is constantly doing stuff for you it's not the Texas way, friends. That's not the way that it's not the way our state was founded. It's not the way our state currently operates. I mean, we are a state of frontiersmen. We originated as a state of frontiersmen. Right. And here we are.
I mean, I'll reiterate my same very coveted speech from Greg Abbott. Hello, you're all adults. Solve your own problems.
Deal with your own problems.
Exactly.
You. I don't need the government dealing with my problems, and I certainly don't need the government able to affect my life in a more efficient manner. If the government is going to do something that's going to affect my life, again, as a Texan, if the government is going to do something, whether it's federal or state, to affect my life, it better be damn hard to do.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It better be as hard as possible to do that. Government gridlock is a good thing. It is a beautiful thing. This country was designed with government gridlock in mind.
Yeah, the founders actually liked it. They were like, good.
They liked the idea of government gridlock. They liked
no
the
one's
idea
stuffing down other crap down people's throats.
Yeah.
Good.
One of the great things that I love about our, this is the national constitution. This is the United States Constitution, not Texas. One of the things I love about the United States Constitution is the fact that it's so hard to amend.
Yeah.
And does that cause issues? Maybe.
Not for me.
Who knows? Not for me, but I mean, does it cause issues? Maybe it does, right? But the fact is that you have to have a major cultural moment. You have to have it has to be an obvious thing in order to actually get any movement on it.
Yeah, because after you even get it somehow passed in the House and Senate, then the state governors
the
have to ratify it. It's like,
yeah.
No. We're going to do a triple check on this to make sure, do you really want this?
For sure. And so that's
and
the thing
is,
I think that most government should be like that, right? Most things that we do. Now, obviously not everything. There are sort of ticky-tacky maintenance things that can operate on a more of a simple majority or maybe a
Nick,
plurality
I was starting
vote.
to like you with your hard opinions,
But here's
and now
the
you're going to go
thing.
this way.
Most of the things that government does that actually effectuates change in the populace needs to be as difficult as possible. I mean, legit, I think it should be. I think it should be as difficult as possible. And to be honest with you, I think we shouldn't really. I think this all comes from sort of idolizing government, right? It comes from this concept of, well, it's important who the president is.
It's become a religion, dude.
It wouldn't be important who the president is. It wouldn't be important who your state congressman or even your national senators, your national congressmen are, if they never get anything done anyway. Right? If it's a big, that's the thing is I think that if the government does something for you, it should be a big deal every time because it needs to be a big deal in order to motivate people to go through all the rigmarole of changing things. Finding ways to streamline that government just mean the government does more, and a government that does more is a government that's going to be more hindering to your freedom.
Now I gotta pay attention more. Really? Is this really my concern? Why are you talking about this over and over? Do we really have to spend millions of dollars in a stupid bill to talk about something that shouldn't have been passed in the first place?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to. Yeah, I'm going to need you to spend my money wiser. Don't do this.
Well, that's the thing is that people have to pay attention more. If government has the ability to do
what I'm
things
saying
quickly,
is if
they
you're
have to pay more
constantly
attention.
changing it every day, or at least that's a hyperbolic way to say it, but you're changing it a lot quicker than Texas is used to, now I got to pay attention a lot more than I had to. Because you keep changing what your theory is every single day.
That's what
I don't like that.
I just said that. You just repeated what I said.
Well, I said it better.
You did not say it better. You said it with a beard. You didn't say it better.
I said it with a better beard.
The fact
more ginger
here
beard.
is, and I mean, again, this is not a Republican or Democrat thing. Because even if you're right, so and people say this all the time, especially in Texas, Oklahoma, in this whole area, is like, well, the Republicans are always going to have control. Not necessarily.
This vote literally shows it's not happening that way.
Indicates that that's not necessarily the case. And even if you like where you are right now, things can change.
Oh, it's so short-sighted.
Things can change. Somebody is going to come along and they're going to change the way things are, and then you will have set up the rules to favor those who are in power. And when those who are in power are not of your particular political ilk, you are going to suffer as a result.
All right, that brings me. Okay, I'm going to talk about the articles. I actually looked up the article when it did change the first time before we changed it again because I was just kind of curious because that's my style. I go way too deep for no reason. From the Texas Observer, this is back in 2015. Apparently, the 2/3 19 votes. That's what it's called, the 2/3 vote.
Okay.
Was presented by Senator Kevin Eltief. Sorry. He's from Tyler. I should probably know that, but then again.
Then it's Eltief. It's Eltief.
Eltief.
I'm just trying to say it in a Tyler voice.
In East Texas?
It's Eltief.
Are you making fun of where I come from?
I am making fun of the 903.
Yeah,
yes, I am.
Well, anyways, when he put it up for a vote or even started debating it, Senator Kirk Watson from Austin, he argued that the rule changes as a whole would make it easier for Senate leadership to sneak through bills and rule changes later in the session. So yeah, you would definitely be changing everything, and you would be making it a lot easier to bring it on the floor. I'm with you on that one. Another senator, Rodney Ellis, at the time from Houston, he quoted former Lieutenant Governor Bill Hobby's memoirs, in which he called the 1979 attempt to circumvent the 2/3 rule the biggest mistake I made as president of the Texas Senate. And we will look back one day with regret. So yeah, I'm with you because it's very short-sighted, and you will look back with regret. Because, like I said last time, you're giving a Democratic person or a Republican person, depending on whatever way you lean, to be able to say, "Hey, I'm that one vote." That's all. You just need that one person. I'm your guy or gal, because I'm gonna vastly change Texas.
And that's the thing is if you get it to that point where it takes that level of marching, you can quickly, vastly change Texas. And I don't want Texas to be a state that can flip on the dime.
No,
right?
I'm with you because Jose Rodriguez, a guy from El Paso, another senator, he's exactly saying this thing right here. Members, I hate to say it, but I think we are going the way of Congress, and that is exactly what I do not want. And that was in 2015. Boy, howdy, was he correct, because, we lost another Republican. Let's just take it down a few more.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
night.
not kidding. Well, that's the deal, man, is that it I mean, people often say the Republicans will always be in control of Congress, right, in Texas, right? Texas is always going to be red. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Facts don't lie. They're losing seats. It's not always red.
Well, I agree with you, right? And that quote that you talked about from was a former lieutenant governor, I guess.
Yeah, a former lieutenant governor.
That quote reminds me of another person in Texas Congress, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Cocaine Mitch McConnell.
Texas Congress?
Or not, sorry, in the National Congress, right?
Senate, by the way, not
Senate.
Congress.
House and Senate are both Congress.
I'll be ticky-tacky.
You're not going to be correcting me on all this. Congress. He is in Congress.
He's also in the Senate.
He's in the Senate, right? So the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell.
And he didn't even say his proper name.
Cocaine Mitch
Cocaine
McConnell?
Mitch.
Cocaine Mitch McConnell. I remember he sat there when the Democrats, what was it?
They changed it to pure majority or 51 votes for federal judges.
Yeah, for federal judges.
Not for Supreme Court, for federal judges.
I was going to say they ended the filibuster, but they didn't do that. Yeah, but they changed it to a simple majority vote for Supreme Court justice. And Mitch McConnell even said, "I think the Democrats are going to regret this sooner than they think." And then he gave his little turtle smile.
Little smile.
And sure enough, man, we got 3 new justices out of that, right?
They said, we have control again? Yeah, we're going to do that for Supreme Court now. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. There you go. You literally forced our hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a frightening thing. What do you think? You think it's frightening?
Yeah, I don't like this at all.
I'm with you on that, but the fact is that we got to find a way to push back on this, right? And I mean, I know we're sitting here on a couch talking about it in a podcast setting, right? But we do have to find a way.
We're bringing it to the people, Nick.
I mean, do you think there's a way that we can? I mean, do you think there's a way that the people can do anything about this aside from getting elected to Congress themselves and making this motion?
If this rule stands, pretty much that's the way to do it.
What happens? Do you think? So here's
think from a Republican side. Okay. Even if you get the majority again, what is advantageous for me to change it to make it harder for my job?
Well, the Republicans have the majority now,
right? But I'm talking about they wanted to move it back up to 19 or back up to 21 votes. Why would a Republican do that if they just have the 21 or just the 19? What about that one dissenter? Not all Republicans are the same, just like not all Democrats are the same.
What do you think about this, though? What do you think would happen if this happened? Okay, so let's say that, the next election will be 2022?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2022.
That's math.
Democrats just get blown out, right? Republicans take back 13 seats, right? which would be impossible, ungodly difficult to do. But let's say that happened. Do you think
we just got to draw up those lines, Nick?
Well, you think the Republicans then go back and say, "Hey, we're going to go back to the original"?
I don't know. I don't know really one big state senator who has a gestational fortitude to actually say, "Hey, let's kind of make ourselves honest again, guys."
I think if you had that much, though, if you had that much weight behind you,
like I said, Dan Patrick was behind he wanted simple majority, and currently he's lieutenant governor, so he's in people's ears going, "Hey, let's get this passed."
But you might want to reverse it if you gain the power back, because if you gain the power back, you want to make it more difficult for the opposition, don't you?
Yeah.
If you have the votes to get it in, then why does it matter? Just give yourself. And I mean, this could set a really dangerous precedent because then you'd always be like, okay, what's one more than we have? Okay, that's the number now.
Uh-huh.
And you just
That's
keep
what
doing
they've done.
and
That's why I
keep
don't
doing
like it.
But they've been moving. Okay, so they've been moving, making the number smaller and smaller and smaller.
Correct.
What I'm saying is, if they got a bigger number of
Oh, they
people
move
in
it, just
there,
tack it
they
up?
keep tacking it back up.
Good
It's
luck.
just whatever one vote away from the majority, that would be I
We
would
need 30 votes?
I would laugh. I would laugh because at that point it's just a joke, right? At that point,
Well, there was
it's
just
not
another gentleman who was talking about it. He's a research director at the Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas at Austin, named Joshua Blank. He said the rule.
funny. Does he? Did you not find his last name or?
No, I'm just saving him from ridicule because
Okay, Mr. Blank.
Mr. Blank.
Go ahead.
He said this rule changes the limits. This rule limits the impact Senate Democrats have on the lawmaking process because it decreases the need for bipartisan support to move forward on a bill. And effectively, it gives more power to Patrick to decide on what bills get debated because Republican senators trade off that power for better positions down the line in the lawmaking process because he's the one who picks committees and the people to go on those committees, which, by the way, they've also lowered of how many. Now was 18, I think it's now 13 or maybe 14 people on committees.
So is it not the way? I mean,
He's literally leading as the president of the Senate without letting senators do most of their job. He's kind of saying, you do this. All right. It's kind of like saying, hey, research this fact. Oh, it didn't turn out how I wanted. Never mind. Stop researching this fact. Let's go with this other fact that proves exactly what I wanted to find out.
Dan Patrick is. I mean, dude, I'm with you. I mean, you've got the power, and
I get the advantageous nature for it. I just don't like it because it will turn on you.
I don't like
the
the fact,
alligator eventually eats you last.
I don't like the fact that it eats you eventually, right? I don't like the fact that we've got a lieutenant governor that's acting in such a dictatorial fashion, regardless of the fact that I agree with most of his policy prescriptions. Right, I'm happy with a lot of the things that he does from a policy perspective, but from a rules and Senate regulation, or what's the word I'm looking for? Senate procedure regulation or Senate procedure perspective. I don't like it. I don't like it. It gives me a yucky feeling in my tum tum. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't like it when government becomes more efficient.
I'm glad we've used so much adult language.
I don't like it when government becomes more
hurts
efficient.
my tum-tum.
It does. It gives me a rumbly, man. I don't know what to tell you. The fact here
Take
is
some Pepto-Bismol and be a man.
The fact here is that, guys, if you want this to end, to me, I think that if we're going to give sort of a blanket recommendation, vote. And I know, and I hate to say just vote, but if you're a Republican, so if you're a Democrat, obviously you need to vote because you want to get the majority.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a Republican in
easier to get
Texas, you need to vote more of those people in because the only chance that we have
possibly primary the ones that voted this crap in. I mean, even if you like the senator or not, say, hey, I like Republican, but I want this Republican because maybe they do run on what you said. Hey, I want to get this back to actually being the Republic and not this pure majority. So I'm going to run on that, and you just primary the person that's already in there.
You primary the person that's already in there in a really, like, you could do that out in Tyler. I don't know if you could do that in McKinney or something like that, because those guys, if you primary and you split the vote for that, you run the risk of losing the seat. You could do that out in Midland, where your seats are pretty well. Your seats are pretty well secure.
Yeah,
right?
East Texas, like only 10%. We're only going to vote for him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, if you could do it out there, but if again, you have to think in terms of political strategy here, and
fair enough.
Primarying incumbents is always.
It's a gamble.
It is always super dangerous.
But you're asking for solutions. I'm not saying it's an easy one. That is an offer solution, because besides that, you just have to deal with the person who voted that in and then hope for some reason he or she decides to change their mind down the line.
I think at baseline, though, you just need to vote more Republicans in, because I feel like if you vote...
Yeah, because that side always had it together.
If you're a Republican is what I'm saying, right? And if you're a Republican and you don't like this, right, you vote more Republicans in, and then maybe you can say, okay, you guys now have the 20 votes or something like that. Can you move that back up? Can we start getting back in the other direction so that we can make sure that this government gridlock is more solidified, as opposed to making quick decisions and snap decisions. We already have a 2-year
I mean,
Congress
I guess
anyway.
I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but I'm guessing we can, for your original question about what maybe could the voters do, maybe you could prompt them to have it for an amendment vote for the people. Say, hey, this is up for amendment. Y'all vote this in. Do y'all want the 21? Do y'all want a majority? Maybe it should be up to us, not them.
Yeah.
But that's also a
That's
gamble.
also a gamble,
because
too.
you can
I
have a
was
lot of
gonna
people say,
say.
hey, this is the one to vote on.
Oh, for sure. Especially the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats say, hey, all we need is just, we need significantly less in order to fundamentally shift
Again,
Texas.
I don't blame them. You made it that easy.
I think that
That's on you, Republicans.
Well, the thing is, though, is that if you put that up to a vote, you always have to ask who's going to care more, right? The Democrats are going to be more motivated to make that vote. The Republicans might not care that much, but the Democrats will. And so I could easily see Democrats showing up and making that change if you did it that way.
Yeah.
So, and again, from a purely political strategic perspective, I see that as a dangerous gamble. But
Maybe.
guys, the fact is, Gridlock is good, man. Gridlock is good.
I love Gridlock.
I love government gridlock, and it obviously
because it makes for good fodder. Because both sides will just whine on both sides. Like, all right, let's hear your grandstand of the day.
Yeah, well, the government does need
I'm
to
gonna
have
tweet
certain,
out, I'm super pissed.
Government does need to have certain emergency powers, but the key word there is emergency, and it needs to be clearly defined what those are. But as far as the day-to-day operations,
They don't want to do that because they want to have that wiggle room.
Yeah. As far as the day-to-day operations of government, though, it doesn't need to be this. It doesn't need to be this quick.
No.
It doesn't need to be that big of a deal. Especially not in Texas, people. Come on.
Lone Star State for a reason.
This is our home.
We do it our own way.
So Republicans, quit messing stuff up for us, man.
Just stop with the stupidness.
I try not to curse on this podcast, but it's becoming incredibly.
No, they've made it. No, that is Republicans. It's not you, Nick.
Anyway, I want to talk about something else. You want to talk about something else?
I'll definitely talk about.
Let's talk about 3 hot takes, friends.
3 hots.
Okay, so the 3 hot takes today. Topic the first.
A Times Magazine article by Molly Ball.
Okay. Topic the second.
Iowa getting rid of their mask mandate.
And what we should do. Should we follow suit?
Mm-hmm.
Topic the third.
Some person in Star Wars.
Some person in Star Wars. I think I'm going to take the lead on that particular topic. But in the meantime, let's go to topic the first.
Times Magazine article.
Time Magazine.
Time Magazine. I am so sorry.
Times Magazine is not.
The title of it is The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election. There's a lot to unpack just in the title. Okay. That saved.
Okay.
I wonder what side of the aisle this person is on.
I knew what side they were on when you said Time Magazine.
Nah, fair
enough. That's and this is the deal. I'm not going to.
We can't really go through this. This is a manifesto. This is not an article.
It's a long.
This is the whole magazine.
It took a lot.
All 3 people who still read it just got a whole magazine.
I read the whole article. I did, and it took the better part of my morning for sure. It took several cups of coffee to get through that article. That being said, I'm not going to be one of these people here saying that, the Germans hacked the Dominion voting systems and now we took 20,000 votes and shifted them in every county or something like that. I mean, there's some crazy conspiracies.
Nick, I have to admit, the impression of my wife is getting better and better.
There's some crazy. Your wife does not sound like that.
We'll never know.
There are some crazy conspiracies going on about this election. And I will say this. I am not one of those people that believes that Joe Biden necessarily won by illegitimate means. I'm not going to say that. But I will say this. There was some weird stuff that happened in this election.
Yeah.
There was some weird, and I know YouTube, we're going to get the little Joe Biden's the president down at the bottom. I know we're going to get that
last episode where he said he was the president.
I know, we've already said it. Joe Biden is the president, and we've already gotten flagged. We got flagged last year, right? We got flagged last year.
All 10 people had to know.
For sure. But here's the deal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Joe Biden isn't the president. I'm not saying that he didn't win by legitimate means. What I am saying is there was some weird stuff. And I guess part of that was Rona, right? But the fact that you have...
That was a lot of the excuse.
Yeah, the fact that you had such massive mail-in voting, and we were just we were just sort of fine with it. That was weird.
Don't get me started on
The
Pennsylvania.
fact that we had an election day
We turned election season.
that turned it into an election month. The fact that people said, we're just gonna stop counting. We're just gonna go home. That was weird. It was a weird election.
No, I have a person that's actually close to me, and his wife actually for Texas is a lot harder to actually still do the mail-ins. It still is like we gotta have a few more things in place. But when he filled it out for his wife, who couldn't really fill it out for herself, but she was cognizant enough to actually say, I want to vote for this person, that person, whatever. He said she had no idea. If I wanted to just tic-tac that one and it's like, yeah, you said this, I'm just going to checkbox, and sign it and send it in. There was no double verifying. There was nothing. He goes, it was so stupid because it's so easy to just fraud that up.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I know. Now I'm getting this canceled right here. But it's very odd to allow that much ease when it shouldn't be that easy.
It really should. And I'm one of these people that advocates for. I think voting should be as difficult as possible. I think you should have to take a test. You should maybe have to go through a decathlon. You should make it difficult to vote. Only the most motivated people should vote. The fact here is, though,
elitist.
I don't think that there was a massive conspiracy to rig voting machines and that President Trump secretly won in a landslide, but they flipped all this different stuff. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is that there were clearly things operating behind the scenes that were in favor of getting Donald Trump.
Well, I picked up some of the few things. Again, it's a manifesto.
For sure.
It kind of starts out a little bit intro. You can tell real quick what side this person's on. But it does have a quote here. It says, Trump said on December 2nd, within days after the election, we witnessed an orchestrated effort to anoint the winner, even while many key states were still being counted. Then they go on to say there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, admitting this, essentially. Mm-hmm. One that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and AFL-CIO published on the election day. So what starts out great to let you know, all right, maybe there's some stuff behind the scenes.
Yes. There was clearly
maybe we helped out a little bit.
There were clearly things operating behind the scenes. And I'm not going to say here that the election was stolen with the algorithms and the voting machines, but I think you could make a really good case that the election was rigged from a media perspective. I think you can make a really good case that it was.
Never mind. There's a certain person, there's a certain format or team of people that have actually looked into it. And I think this was someone back in 2015 kind of saying this, that the media itself had about a 5 to 7% actual change of the vote.
Yeah.
And this one, because we're so locked down, or most of the country was locked down, I think it had a lot, because it's pretty certain that only one real channel, mainstream, liked Trump.
Yeah.
The rest of them weren't too fond. They were just giving you the facts. Sure.
And then you also see it not even just from a media perspective, but from an actual operations perspective, like with the state of Pennsylvania, right? The state of Pennsylvania, whose judiciary, not their legislatures, their judiciary said, yeah, we're just going to allow mail-in voting for, 9 days
they
after
had
the
to
election?
vote it in, and they just didn't do it like, nah, we'll just do it this way instead.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but when you're talking about a national election, that's some shady nonsense going on there.
Oh, don't worry. This person explains a little bit.
Okay.
Though much of this activity took place on the left, it was separate from the Biden campaign and crossed ideological lines with crucial contributions by nonpartisan and conservative actors. And they never mention who these are. They just say it. There's no citation to it. It's like, maybe we found a note, never Trumper.
All right. There's going to be a bold claim here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and say that didn't happen.
No.
That there were no
Well,
true
notice that he
conservatives.
tries to distance Biden. It's like, this is happening, but no, Biden wasn't a part of it.
Well, I can see why. And again, whether it was, because here's the thing: I don't think Joe Biden knew about this. I think Joe Biden was sitting in his basement with a coloring book.
Does he know what day it is?
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows. He's already signed 50 plus executive orders.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah,
Just keep
because
it
he's
rolling.
just sitting there with a pen.
Everybody's focused on impeachment. Don't worry about me. I'm just going to keep signing these
sitting
suckers
there with
in.
a pen, eating crayons in the corner, and people are just funneling papers to him. Here's the thing. I don't
Is
think
at least Crayola crayons? Those are the better flavored
those are
ones.
good ones, man.
The off-brand? Oh.
I don't think that Joe Biden knew what was going on. I think that I don't.
Well,
think
here's
that he
where
was,
here's where
I don't think that he was coordinating this.
Here's something that's odd. It states their work touched this. Their work being the people that were working behind the scenes, touched every aspect of this election. They got states to change voting systems and laws and helped secure hundreds of millions in public and private funding. They fended off voter suppression lawsuits, recruited armies of poll workers, and got millions of people to vote by mail for the first time. Almost seemed like no matter what, that was their goal. Mm-hmm. They successfully pressured social media companies to take a harder line against what they claim disinformation and used data-driven strategies to fight viral smears. It kind of seems like you're just downplaying stuff that you don't like. Yeah. That's what that you can say all the gobbledygook you want to. What that statement says is, I got a social media person to go with what I like, and then just because the social aspect is behind me, a lot of people will tweet about it. They succumb to pressure because that day people tweeted about it. The next day, of course, they didn't tweet about it, so they couldn't just wait it out. Of course, they had to respond. And
like I was saying, I don't think that Joe Biden knew this, but I'm going to go on record as saying I do not think that there was a single conservative that was involved in this. I don't think that you can say maybe a Republican. I'm not saying a Republican didn't do it. Maybe you can find a squish in there, but there's no conservative.
Have you ever heard of the guy named Mitt Romney?
Mitt. Anyway,
Squishy.
He's just there to lose. Anyway,
all right.
Here's
no. I'm going to interrupt you here because this statement was very odd. This is the one that kind of I bolded and everything else because I thought, well, what mess you talking about here? They were not rigging the election, Nick. They were fortifying it, and they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility in order to ensure that democracy in America endures.
Fortifying election. Okay, I have to ask this question then. What does social media disinformation campaigns have to do with fortifying the election?
Well, if I don't let you see certain people's stuff,
so you're fortifying it for a candidate. I mean,
no, Nick, it's just disinformation.
It's
just disinformation that happens to be on the Republican line.
But you're not fortifying the actual strength.
Nick,
if you believe that
know, Republicans say much disinformation. Therefore, you got to protect the people.
That this election was fortified, and that we had fortified the strength of our voter rolls in this election. You are a liar, or you're an idiot, a la Joe Biden eating crayons. I mean, seriously, there was no way that you could tell me that this election was more secure than others. You could make the case that it wasn't that open, and I would listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you if you say, "Oh, this election was more secure than the other ones," because we had millions of people mail-in voting for the first time. But that was
all
secure.
Legit, Nick. It's all legit.
Here's the thing, guys.
Stop looking.
I'm not saying the election is rigged. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is not the legitimate president. I'm saying we have got to fix this.
What scares me is that that second statement, and they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility in order to ensure that democracy in America endures. Public, you're too stupid to figure this out. Just let us handle it. Don't. You can't go behind this curtain, though. No. Let us handle it.
That is
Trust what we're saying.
This is like another article.
Terrifying.
This is like another article that came out recently in the New York Times. The article about the deep state.
Yeah.
You see, so there's an article in the New York Times that says, yes, the deep state is real, but don't worry.
It's a safe deep state.
They're the good deep state.
They're the good
people. Right. They're here to protect
We're just monitoring the stuff you should be able to see. Because we don't think you can make a comprehensive decision on yourself. Or by yourself.
What's really creeping me out is not even just this. It's the fact that they're writing articles about this. Right? The fact that we're sitting here and that the media at this point is just so brazen because they've got the power.
Who's going to call them out?
Nobody's going to call them out. And so they just say, yeah, we did this, whatever.
They'll admit it now after the election's over.
Oh, man.
Anyways, let's go
I'm
on
gonna
to topic
break.
number 2.
I was gonna say I'm gonna break this coffee mug over my head
That's,
if we
that's
don't
the
go to topic number
princess
2.
one. Don't break it.
Go to topic the second. Let's
Number 2.
do it.
Iowa lifts their mask mandate. So
Should Texas follow suit?
yes. I think I was pretty brazen last time. Repeal
Masks.
so many of these executive orders.
Masks work, James. We need a double mask
Tell
mandate.
California
We need a
that.
triple mask mandate.
Tell California how much it works and get back to me.
Tell California how much.
All right. So the governor, Kim Reynolds, who happens to be a Republican, this is according to AP, ABC News, and Fox. Republicans' latest health proclamation won't require Iowans to wear masks while inside public buildings and removes limits on both indoor and outdoor gatherings. Of course, you're going to get some buck back because that's what happens in politics. Linda Tucker Reinders, the executive director of the Iowa Public Health Association, says she thinks the restrictions are being lifted too early. In Des Moines, mayor has already pushed back against this. They said that the city's mask mandate would remain in effect despite this, which is fine. That's your mayor. That is a small government, and if you don't like what that mayor's doing, vote him out
Or go elsewhere.
Or yeah,
Des Moines not that big, right?
Hey, Des Moines pretty big. All 7 people are still pissed off at you.
Oh my gosh.
The state, but the governor has mentioned though the state has struggled in rolling out the vaccine and is ranked as the 3rd worst, ahead of Idaho and Missouri in per capita distribution, according to the Register. She stated, we're averaging around 60% getting the vaccines administered, and that's not where we need to be. We want to do better. We know we can do better. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a little throwaway for whatever reason. She had to feel like she had to mention that. Mm-hmm. But according to weareiowa.com, that was a fun site to look on. Mm-hmm. With the choice now in their hands, some business owners are choosing to stick with the mask requirements they already have in place, and some are not. Again, leaving it up to the business, leaving it up to the small city, leaving it up to the town, whatever you are, it shouldn't be state down.
Yeah.
It
certainly shouldn't be national government down.
If Abbott changed it today, I highly doubt, because of the demographic of Dallas and Houston, that those very blue cities would say, yeah, we're going to lift them. Now, they're going to keep it up, which is fine. That's what you want to do. And if you don't like that, move out of that city.
Not to mention the fact that out in East Texas, they're already not wearing them.
Oh yeah, it's a bigger farce than here.
Especially if you go out. I mean, even around here, you go up to certain areas of Prosper and Anna and some of those.
There's certain stores I don't even wear it. I just walk in and they don't say anything.
Tons of places when you go out there, you don't wear a mask. It's not a big deal, right? Right now, I've been to church and not worn a mask. Right? There are places around here that are not going to wear the mask, and there are places around here that are going to enforce it. Right? I went the other day to pick up a pie from a dessert place, and they almost called the cops on me for walking through the door without a mask. They said, "Put the mask on." And I said, "Oh, just put the mask on." Right? And I had the mask in my hand. I just walked through the door, and they were like, "Rona, devil, get out of here." We
want to pretend that life can be stopped.
Seriously,
all right, wear that mask.
I will say and you know what? I put the mask on because I was in their establishment.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I think we just need to fight back and stop wearing it, period.
People are grown-ups. Well, it's not even a matter of wear the mask, don't wear the mask. I don't want to wear the mask because I think masks are ridiculous. I don't think that they work as well as people think that they work.
Unless it's N95. It ain't working too well.
Those
neck gaiters are actually worse.
And
people wear those all the time.
That's ridiculous.
That stupid little,
stupid.
I have a buddy who wears a bandana, so it's not really stupid because I don't want to call him stupid, but he has a little bandana all the time.
And he sneezes and it goes.
Well, no, he looks like a train robber because it goes down to freaking here. And I'm just looking at him going, what benefit is that? Because if you sneeze, it's going to go underneath. Yeah. And if any germs come up, it's going to come up underneath. So, but of course, a store sees that and go, oh, that's
you know that there are clothing designers now that are making hoodies with a little pouch right here that's got a mask inside of it that's connected via cloth to the hoodie. And so you just pull it up and you can loop the ears over. And so it's like a mask that just
I don't want to live in America anymore.
Just merges into your shirt. Here's the thing. Let people act like adults. Wear the mask, don't wear the mask, right? And I'm not going to be here. I don't want to wear the mask because I think the masks are dumb and ridiculous, and I'm not worried about dying from Rona anyway. And I'm certainly not worried about passing it on, right? I'm fairly certain I've already had it, and I try and distance myself from people in my family and people that I come across that are older. I try and distance myself from those people. And most of those people are distancing themselves anyway. But the fact is, I don't care what you personally think about wearing the mask or not wearing the mask. That's not what this is about. What this is about is whether the government can tell you to wear a mask.
No.
You are a grown adult. Act like an adult. Do not ask your parents what you should or should not do. Do not rely on daddy government to tell you what you should or should not do, or to tell other people what they should or should not do. Right now, if you're in somebody's establishment, if you're on somebody's property and they tell you to wear a mask, that's different.
It's their property.
But if you're talking about the government and you're saying, "Whoa, I wish the government would let me have my business back. If I wear a mask, it'll work."
See, that's why I like it to not be with the governor or the government, because it forces the hand on the business to say, either you're gonna go on your own stance to say yes, wear the mask, or no, and that's your business, your call. But you're not letting those squishy little corporations get out of it and go, well, I mean, it's not our decision. It's the governor.
That's true.
No, it's not anymore. So what's your decision?
I get it.
Make an authentic thought. Just say your own thing, because they don't want to do it, because they don't want to piss off anybody.
James, thinking is hard, though.
Because then I got to make a definitive statement.
Hard.
Oh no.
Making decisions are hard, and I don't want to get sued. Oh my goodness. We talked about Rona until we were blue in the face last week. So let's move on to topic third.
All right. Third, something to do with Star Wars.
Shut up, man. James is not a Star Wars fan.
No.
And
I don't care.
I am a Star Wars fan.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Let me put it this. Don't you speak that heresy on my podcast. Anyway.
Tried to bait you there.
Anyway. I'm going to reach across you like a freaking tauntaun. Anyway, cut you open like a tauntaun. Cut you open like a tauntaun.
No.
Anyways, here's the situation. I am a Star Wars fan in the sense that I grew up watching the Star Wars movies. I enjoy the Star Wars movies very much. Even when the prequels came out. The funny thing is, I was one of those. When the prequels came out,
you dressed up, didn't you?
I was like 11 when the prequels came out.
Oh
yeah, I dressed up for sure. And I even liked the prequels for a little bit. Now, when I got older, I realized that they were kind of garbage, but I liked them when I was a kid. And I have since I am still consider myself a Star Wars fan, but I have since stopped watching Star Wars. Because Disney bought Star Wars, and I thought that was going to give us a glimmer of hope, right? Because the prequels weren't very good, but then Disney came out, and Disney's been responsible for some really good stuff like Marvel and some of these really good sort of cinematic reskins, right? You kind of reskin old things. Disney's been really good at that. And so when they bought Star Wars, I was one of the fans that had a lot of hope. And then they came out with 7, 8, and 9. 7... I liked it when I saw it the first time, and then after a while I started thinking about it more, and I was like, this movie is probably not that very good. 8 came out. 8 was a dumpster fire of a movie.
What happened in 8? Is that the one where they killed Han Solo after he brought him back?
No, 7. They killed Han Solo in 7.
I saw that one in theaters, I was like, yeah, I don't really care anymore.
They killed Luke Skywalker in 8. They both killed him actually.
Spoiler.
They actually killed his character. And they also took the character, like the metaphorical character of Luke Skywalker, and they killed that also. Like, they executed my memories of Luke Skywalker in front of me.
They memory hold it, Nick.
It was an abomination of a movie. It was a dumpster fire of a movie. And then 9 came across, and it was the same dumpster fire, but they had taken a troll and told the troll to take a dump in the dumpster fire. That's what number 9 was. And so they basically...
Tell us how you really feel, Nick.
They peed on my childhood in front of me, and they demanded I pay them for the privilege. And so at that point, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not watching this. I'm not watching Star Wars anymore. I'm not buying your stupid Disney Plus. I'm doing everything I can. I'm not taking my kid to Disney World. I'm doing everything I can to distance myself from this evil empire that we call Disney, right?
Disney World's in Florida, so you can give
I even had ESPN. I had ESPN Plus. Dropped that too because Disney owns ESPN. Isn't that weird that
Disney owns ESPN?
Disney owns ESPN. Disney owns ABC. I don't watch that. I do everything I can to separate myself from that company, which is odd because my coffee mug has Disney princesses on it. Again, you can't get away. But The Mandalorian came out, and all my friends were telling me I needed to watch The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I got told that too.
They go, you got to watch The Mandalorian. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Well, you can watch it. You can watch it for free on my Disney Plus account. No. Not doing it.
Ooh, someone stuck with their principles.
Seriously. I said, no, they were saying, hey, you could use my Disney login. Nope, not doing it. Not watching it. It's just a principle of a thing, right? And
Well, you also didn't want to commit fraud.
The Mandalorian, the people in The Mandalorian, I do have great respect for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni as both actors and, well, Filoni's not an actor, but Favreau is.
People, sure.
As movie people, I really respect them. We thought that they were going to pull away from this sort of woke ideology that's sort of being imbued into the Star Wars universe that has just made it terrible from a story perspective. And you know,
That's what
again,
I've heard from people who actually watch it.
but they were saying that, you know, Favreau and Filoni, they were going to put the story over the ideology, that they were going to they were going to essentially bring Star Wars back to its former glory, and that's what The Mandalorian was all about, and that's what people were telling me. Well, the sort of canary in the coal mine for this was a character called Cara Dune, who was played by an actress named Gina Carano. Gina Carano is a former MMA former MMA fighter who turned actress.
She will wring your neck.
She could kill me with her pinky. She was in the Deadpool movie. Did you watch?
No.
You didn't watch Deadpool?
No.
God, it was a great movie. Anyway,
all those superhero movies, unless it's Batman,
she
I'm not
was
really
in
watching.
Deadpool. Deadpool is so good though. But she was in the Deadpool movie. She's been in some other things.
That's just because you have a crush on Ryan Reynolds.
And she, God, you're not entirely wrong. I love you, sweetheart. Anyway, the fact here is that she's been in some good stuff, and she was cast as this character, Cara Dune. And by the way, she's not a tertiary character. She's not a small character. She's a pretty significant character in this world, and she committed the grave sin of being Republican on Twitter.
Well, you can't do that.
She made several tweets after a while, you know, about things like the election. She had made tweets about masking, sort of giving out her more conservative opinions on things. And she kind of became, for fans, the sort of canary in the coal mine of, are you going to stick to your ideology or are you just going to stick to the story? Yeah. Right? Because if the story matters, then you're going to keep Cara Dune's character in there because it's an important part of the story. But if ideology matters more and you know, and hiring actors and woke culture matters more, then you're going to fire her. And for the longest time, it looked like Favreau and Filoni were keeping her there. And just recently, she made a tweet. And this tweet was, according to Disney, abhorrent. Now,
Seems like they were waiting for it.
I read the tweet. This tweet is far from abhorrent. This tweet is banal. It's just it's not important. It's not controversial at all. It essentially said, now she did make a comparison to the Holocaust, which you should just never do. It's the third rail of Twitter. But she essentially said that the way that the Holocaust happened was the Nazis got Jews to hate their neighbors. Okay, and she's saying that's now happening with people of a certain political view. You're causing people to hate their neighbors, and that's not a good thing. That was her tweet. Disney said that was anti-Semitic, and they fired her from the show as a result. Now there's a lot of crazy things that have happened since then, right? One really interesting,
kind of like a whirlwind, isn't it?
Yeah. One really interesting thing is that Disney Plus subscribers canceled their accounts in droves after the firing of Cara Dune. It was a big hit.
Nick, just to put it in perspective, I think the way to make it kind of like honest here, what the tweet actually said, I just want to read it in full.
I'll go for it.
She stated, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Sad face. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? That was the entire tweet.
Okay. Can I say something super controversial?
Go for it.
I find nothing controversial with that tweet. I find absolutely nothing wrong with that tweet. Now, you did mention the Holocaust. And just as a rule on Twitter, you should never mention the Holocaust because
that's what everybody goes to.
It just gives you reasons.
So and so's Hitler.
But comparing the United States to Nazi Germany has been a staple of Twitter for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Right, especially with
I've been told Trump's Hitler.
Are we going to?
Bush is Hitler.
That's what I'm going to say. Is we're canceling Cara Dune. Are we going to cancel what was her name? Ashley Judd, who went on stage and said Hitler's mustache has been replaced with Trump's toupee. I think that's who that was, Ashley Judd. It was somebody, but some actress, some prominent actress went up there. Are we going to cancel Madonna, who went up there and said she was going to blow up the White House? Are we going to cancel, by the way, Pedro Pascal, who made a tweet in 2018? Pedro Pascal, for those of you who don't know, James, is the lead in The Mandalorian, right? He's the lead character in The Mandalorian. He went on and made a tweet comparing the United States to Nazi Germany in 2018 for the kids in cages thing.
Okay.
Made the exact same tweet. He's not fired. He's
Was
not
that same picture that wasn't from 2018?
Yes, it was a picture that wasn't from 2018.
Claiming that was Trump?
The kids were not in cages, and it wasn't even in the United States. The picture was taken from I don't know.
Seems like a few fact checks
somewhere else.
One, huh?
Yeah, there was quite a few. But again, it's Twitter. Who cares, right? But the thing is about Gina Carano is that it's just evidence for us that, like I said earlier with the Time magazine quote, they're just not hiding the ball anymore. Right?
They don't have to.
It's brazen. It's out in the open, right? You are just not allowed to have certain political perspectives. You're not allowed to have them. And if you do, you won't work. Now,
unless you're Adam West.
Here's the thing. Unless you're Adam West. Here's the thing. For those of you Texas Democrats out there that call yourselves libertarians and say, well, Twitter is a freak, or not Twitter, but Disney's a company, they can hire and fire whoever they want. True, they can. That's absolutely true. But I'm sorry, if you are firing people for their political views, regardless of whether it's political views on the right or on the left, if you are hiring and firing people for their political views, I'm not giving you my money. I'm just not. I'm going to do everything that I can to not give you my money.
Well, that's your prerogative.
And Disney is one of those corporations, and it kind of gets into this idea of have corporations gone too far? Because they are private organizations. And I'm not just talking about Disney anymore. I'm talking about Google, Amazon, all this kind of stuff. But first, what's worth noting is that these corporations work very closely with the federal government.
We just read the Times Magazine article. They definitely work very closely.
They're working very closely with the federal government. They are at this point sort of a quasi appendage of the federal government. They are
getting closer to an oligarchy.
Yeah, they're massively influencing culture, and you see people like Gina Carano, who is just one person, but I think she signifies something that is.
That's when
really
they do it
important.
one at a time, though, because you won't really notice they do it. If they do it a mass one, you
Yeah.
get all up in arms. But it's just like how we got to the what we were talking about earlier, the 16 votes. It didn't happen all at once. You get a little bit here, all right, a little bit more, all right, a little bit, and you never notice that you went from 21 to 16 in a matter of 15 years.
Yeah, it's a frog in the boiling water.
Yeah,
right. And here's the thing: I'm curious to see what happens with Gina Carano. Because Gina Carano is a fairly normal individual. She's not a super... Now, she has some tweets that were controversial, but they're pretty mainstream conservative tweets. Right?
Isn't Twitter pretty much allowing you just to have the knee-jerk reaction to sound off? That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So why are people looking to say, well, you said this? Well, come on, let the person rant.
If you take anything from this segment, it should be this.
Don't have a Twitter.
Don't have a Twitter account.
Don't press send.
Twitter is stupid. But here's the thing about Gina Carano. She's fairly mainstream. And you talked about, this is years ago, Twitter banned Alex Jones. Now I'm going to say something that's a little controversial here, okay? Alex Jones is a nut, okay? Alex Jones is a crazy person.
I personally like when he gets shirtless and starts yelling.
And so he's a crazy person. And so people say, well, it's Alex Jones. Of course you're going to kick off Alex Jones. Fair. But I think you might have crossed
fair.
I think you might have crossed the line with Gina Carano.
No, I don't think it's that. I disagree with your first statement.
It's
not fair.
It's not fair.
Let the person
right?
rant.
You should let the person rant.
The thing is, if this person is so terrible and so scary, guess what? People are going to realize because he wasn't someone who hid the ball. Mm-hmm. He let you know exactly who he was, and if people want to follow that, let them follow that. Who cares?
What I'm saying, the fair statement was Alex Jones crazy or not? Yes, fair. He is crazy, right? But it wasn't necessarily fair for you to kick him off Twitter. But I think that with Gina Carano, what you're going to see is a bigger backlash because I think few people are going to look at Gina Carano and be like, "Wow, that's a crazy person." She just isn't.
This is the thing that the nerds get all up in arms about.
About Gina Carano?
Yeah.
About an attractive woman on a star. Yes, nerds get crazy about attractive women in Star Wars movies or in Star Wars TV shows. that it's very much a thing that happens. Nerds tend to like the attractive women that are in Star Wars movies. And Gina Carano is very attractive. I love you, sweetheart. Gina Carano is a very attractive actress. And here's the other thing. This is what drives me crazy, especially with Star Wars, was you had Kathleen Kennedy, who is now she's one of the big producers over at Lucasfilm. And her whole thing is about having powerful, strong women in Star Wars, which I'm fine with, right? I mean, I liked Princess Leia. She was a powerful, strong woman. The fact is, probably the most powerful and strong woman in Star Wars is Cara Dune, who is Gina Carano's character. And you just fired her because, well, you're a little too strong. This woman's a little too strong and too opinionated. It's just odd. It's odd to me that if that's your gambit, if that's your thing, you need to keep Gina Carano in there. You need to keep Cara Dune in there because that's what she is, right? She is a strong. She's also quite attractive. She's a strong female character. All right, and I will absolutely blow a gasket if we keep talking about this. Right, I'm gonna have a aneurysm because.
Keep going then, Nick. Let me have my own podcast.
This is not just something, that affects me on a sort of my political beliefs level. It's something that, because when you attack Star Wars, you're getting at a part of me that is not so easily detached.
But you already said you didn't care. You didn't even watch Mandalorian.
I didn't watch Mandalorian.
So why do you care?
Because I'm trying so hard not to care, and it is so hard to not watch Star Wars. It is.
I'm with you. They shouldn't have canceled for political beliefs. But
I know, but when I see this coming into something that I love so much, it affects me that way, right? What would happen? And I mean, again, this would be like if somebody came in and said, "Hey, the University of Alabama is going to start allowing women on their football team."
No.
And they start losing because they're allowing women on their football team, right?
Saban wouldn't allow that.
I know, but let's say
Roll Tide.
Saban dies. Here's hoping.
Whoa, whoa! Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Hold on though, but did you not see how I just said? All I do is say Saban dies, and you're all up in arms. This is how I feel about Star Wars.
Saban got championships. All right. Star Wars maybe got an award here and there, but they didn't get an award for the last few.
For sure not.
So, all right. You're talking like Jerry Jones saying, I got 5 Super Bowls. All right, no, you technically have 3, and you haven't got it in our lifetime since early time.
James, why do you care? Why do you care? This is how I feel.
I'm going to kick you off your own podcast.
You're getting into something that I
But
love.
I watch it. That's the difference. I actually watch Alabama football.
I watch Star Wars.
No, you didn't. You said you didn't watch The Mandalorian.
I don't watch them anymore because no, it's not that I don't care. I don't watch them anymore because I care so much about what they've done to my beloved Star Wars, and I just
seems like you're splitting the baby here.
I can't, in good conscience, support them. I do care, but I can't, in good conscience, support them.
But you already weren't supporting them.
I know I wasn't, but anyway, the fact is, I'm going to have an aneurysm. Let's talk about something more pleasant.
Fine. What about me?
You just had a baby, didn't you?
I didn't have a baby.
Well, your wife just had a baby, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
She did.
Little Clarence Thomas.
And Clarence Thomas Metcalf is the cutest little baby, man. He's a
the
little
ginger's
pretty,
coming out.
He's
He's getting a little ginger.
He had black hair almost when I came.
Yeah, but like today, my wife said, like, put him next to your head, and I did. She goes, oh, his hair is kind of your color. I was like, that's right, baby, getting that ginger coming in.
You're gonna have you a little Ron Weasley, aren't you?
That's right.
Oh, gross. Anyway, here's the thing.
Gross.
Here's the thing about that, man. He's a super cute baby, and I'm not gonna lie. I was not banking having your genes. I was not banking on him being cute.
Luckily, he looks like my wife.
He's a really cute baby, man. And he's so. Tell me the deets. What's the weight?
He came in 7'11".
7 pounds 11 ounces. Okay.
And he was 21 inches long, I believe.
21 inches?
Yeah.
Well, that's not. Oh, you're talking about the whole baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be crass, mate. No, what was funny is that the nurse measured and remeasured his head a few times because she was not convinced that his chest was a smaller circumference than his head. So his head was giant when it came out.
He's got a big. Well, you told me something else about his head. What else?
It was a cone head when it came out.
It
It literally a big old cone head. My wife, as much as she loves this kid, and so do I, she saw him when it first came out. She goes, "Oh boy, you better have a good personality because that head is not going to help you."
So he looked. I saw pictures.
It
man.
subsided. He actually lost a half inch when we went back into a doctor's appointment for remeasuring because of the cone head.
Legit looked like Dan Aykroyd in cone heads. Like he was a big,
yeah. I was gonna say, like, all right, I'm gonna show him the cone head movies and say, see, people can still live despite this disability.
But he's cute, man. He's a really cute kid. I dig it. He's probably gonna suffer a little bit with the ginger, but other than that,
that's gonna make the ladies flock.
He's got a little big old eyes, and he's just, I don't know, man. Again, when I became a father myself, I started finding babies much cuter than I used to. You're gonna see that experience too, and man, I got to going and seeing your baby. It was the first time I had met a baby that was younger than mine. Mm-hmm. Right, so it's my first time as a father to come in and meet a new father.
Right,
it was a cool experience, and it's something I've never dealt with before. But when you handed him to me, and I got to hold him for a little bit, he's so cute. Right? What I remember is he said he's 7 pounds 11 ounces. My kid now is 8 months, and he weighs almost 20 pounds at this point. He's a big old kid. And I've been lugging him around, and you
got your weight up.
I
know.
I was been carrying around a sack of potatoes, and you gave me this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, is this a doll? Is he hollow? What's wrong? But man, he's so cute. He's so tiny, and I am super excited for you, man. I'm super excited for you having a kid.
I'm super excited. My wife's done a tremendous job. We've had our sister-in-law over, who's been helping out a lot. Been truly blessed to have all this kind of help because I'm still studying for the bar, and so I definitely needed that.
And you got to do this, right?
Yeah.
So bless your sister-in-law.
Oh yes. Her. Oh yeah. I've been making all the foods and getting whatever they need me to get because we also moved. So we had a baby, moved all in the same month, within the same week, really. Yeah. And so
whose fault is that, James? Whose fault is that?
The apartment complexes.
It's the apartment complex's fault.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Because you didn't decide when you were going to have the baby, did you?
Mm-mm.
Are you sure?
Mm-mm.
You sure? You didn't decide? You didn't make the call and be like, hey, let's have the baby today? I think you did.
Maybe we did.
I think you did.
Maybe we went in the night before and
I think
had the procedure.
That makes it your fault.
I mean, let's be frank, Nick. It was all predestined, so it doesn't matter. Aneurysm. Let's see that aneurysm.
That is a conversation for another podcast. Probably not another episode. Another podcast. We can make another podcast entirely about that specific argument.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to harangue these people with my thoughts on that.
Yeah, you don't need to be a part of this very pointless conversation.
We need to close. We need to close. We need to.
We probably do.
Right? Yeah.
We're gonna get too far.
You got anything? You got anything for me, man?
Yep. We need to mimic Iowa in this one instance.
Yep.
Gridlock is great, but don't worry about the deep state because it's super duper safe.
Super duper safe. Deep state is not safe.
It's friendly.
Well, friends, we got dark days ahead of us, but the stars at night are big and bright. And we'll see you next week.